everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse. And today we are going to have another blackout episode because this is one of the ones that I have filmed really quickly. When I was really busy, I filmed a few of these in a day. So it's going to be a blackout episode, but there are going to be a couple pictures, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And don't forget, I am the author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie Me, and these other little ebooks right here. Where you can get that, my Patreon, my merchandise, the cocktail of the day, everything, down in that description. So go down. Okay, so, and I want to thank everybody as always for all the love and support that you guys give me. And to my first new member here, because I do offer memberships now, which I'm going to structure a few things, so you guys stick around for that. I'm going to talk about that in another episode about how I'm going to work the memberships and how they're going to apply here. But thank you, Lisa, for being my first member. You rock, and so does everybody else here. I'm so lucky and thankful for the community of men and women we have here, of the other groupies and the musicians that are here, because y'all get me and we get each other, and I love that here. And welcome to the new members, and I hope you feel part of this awesome community. So thank you very much, you guys. And today's topic, we're gonna get a little nappy. Oh yeah, it's gonna be one of those. It was not the finest moment for a couple people that night. Nope. We're gonna talk about the night that we hung out with Extreme and Saigon Kick. Yeah, because, not every night in Groupieville is perfect and lovely and rainbows and rose-colored glasses. You guys know here, I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm not going to put some almost famous LA sugarcoat rainbow dust blowing out my butthole kind of party here. No, we're all about reality, and even if it is not my finest moment, as we know from the Ugly Kid Joe story. So we're going to talk about the night we hung out with Extreme and Saigon Kick. And to give you guys a clue, today's cocktail is going to be a little one called the Nappy Rash. Yeah, you heard me right. So Sophia, for all those of you who know, you know. Sophia and I are going to have a little nappy rash. So everybody, go grab your rashes, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktail rocktail, shall we? Cheers, big ears. Oh, God. Okay. Not bad. I would swallow this more than I would swallow Kip Winger, and I'd rather have this rash than the one we're going to talk about here in a moment. Yeah. It's not what you think, though. It's so not what you think. Okay, so Kristen, Danny, and I were bored. There was not a lot of bands in town. This is how some of these nights start out, as we know. And Extreme was big at the time. They had More Than Words was on the charts. I had just started dancing. Kristen, Danny, and I hadn't hung out all together for a while because Danny had moved. Kristen had moved and come back. I had gone and come back. There was a lot of things that we hadn't seen each other for a while. So we're like, yeah, let's get together. And we went and hung out. Extreme was playing with opening band Saigon Kick. So we go down to the Salt Palace. There was a side where I talk about where Lita Ford was and all that. It was a smaller side. Like in the video for the Same Old Situation with Motley Crue that I showed you guys, that's the big side of the Salt Palace. And like in Def Leppard and stuff where you see all that in the Def Leppard. But there was a smaller side for acts that were decently big but not big enough to fill the arena. So we're like, yeah, Extreme's in town. Let's go hang out. We're bored. So we go down. And, it's wintertime, so I've got this dark green leather coat on. Kristen's all dressed pretty. I'm like in this, and this is going to come into play. This is why I'm telling you how we're dressed. And plus, because a lot of people think groupies dress, there's a way you see chicks at the metal shows all dressed in that typical, jeans or leather leggings and the crop top, the metal shirt, the bikini top, the studded belts, the rock and roll, the black nails, and that's a cool look and all, but it's not how people think that, especially 80s groupies, that's our look, and it wasn't. Me and my friends were very much into Vogue. Like, we would read Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and stuff like that and go buy the clothes or clothes that could match that, So that night I was in a black column dress, nice figure hugging with this slight scoop neck column dress. With, the little black thigh highs, the opaque ones all the ladies know, with the ribbons at the top. We know those ones, we've all worn. They're so awesome and they're so sassy. But so anyway, and Kristen's in this long brown flowy kind of V-neck dress. Danny's in the same, she's got this really cute jacket and black leggings and boots on. So we're all warm, and we go up there, and who do we see? Our friend Jennifer. Now, here's the pass for this show. So this is February of 93, I believe. So it says the date on the pass. So here's the pass for that. And we meet up, and there's Jennifer. And we're like, hey, Jennifer. And I've talked about Jennifer before. She was another groupie that was kind of her own independent thing. And she saw Scott Dalhover from Dangerous Toys once before I started seeing him. So, but we were friends, Jennifer, and I'm still friends with her. She's an awesome, wonderful, lovely woman. So she's already there, and we're like, hey, what are you doing here? She's like, oh, just thought I might come up. I was bored. So apparently Extreme and Saigon Kick were only for the groupies who were bored in Salt Lake City. In other cities, not so much. In Salt Lake City, we had a lot of choice of bands we wanted to hang out with. And we could pick and choose because that's how many shows come through Salt Lake City still to this day. This is a huge, wonderful, awesome music scene of all walks of life. Big, small, obscure, all kinds of people. Pop, rock, metal, country, they all come here. And it's a really awesome music scene. So anyway, we're all hanging out. We hadn't been there like 5 minutes. Jennifer just got there as well. When, of course, because we go stand by the back parking lot where the buses were. It's the day of show. We didn't know this band. And we used to do that. Not so much anymore. People will look at you weird. Back then, they used to look out the bus to see if any of the groupies were hanging out on the sidewalk by the parking lot. And they would come out and be like, hello, ladies. Well, 5 minutes into us getting there, here comes Gary, the lead singer of Extreme, and Rhodey, and I believe the drummer. And they come out, they're like, ladies. And winter is the perfect time for this perfect pickup line, because I cannot tell you how many times we heard this, especially in the winter. Ladies, you must be so cold. You should come get on our bus. It's warm in there. You may be warm in there now, but sweetie, it's about to get hot. Because you got the best groupies in Salt Lake City coming on. We didn't say that, but anyway, we had our introductions and our flirties, and we were just, talking and stuff, and they're like, well, come warm yourself up on the bus, ladies. So we did. We get on the bus, the usual, would you like a drink? We've got this, we've got beer, we've got vodka, we've got blah, blah, blah. Well, thank you very much. I'll take this. She'll take that. Yada, yada. Nuno Betancourt comes on the bus, and he's like, opens the door, starts to come up the stairs, and he's like, oh, I heard there were ladies on the bus. And he comes on the bus, and he joins the party, and we're all hanging out, having a good time. And Gary tells the tour manager, would you go grab these ladies a pass? And he's like, sure. So he brings these passes back. And right here, I'm going to put a picture up of Kristen and Gary. These were taken after the show. So Danny has a couple of these pictures. These were actually from Jennifer's cameras. I was taking this picture. So in this picture, you have Kristen, Gary, and Jennifer. So there are more of these pictures. I just don't have possession of them. This is actually one Jennifer sent me a long time ago. But Danny actually has a picture of us on the show after the show on the bus. Because this is where it comes in important in play, on the bus after the show. So anyway, we go in, we meet everybody, we meet the guys in Saigon Kick, we're hanging out backstage, we're having a good time. Kristen gravitates towards Phil. I believe he's the drummer of Saigon Kick, and he has written a book about all his depravities on the road and off the road and stuff, and being a rock star. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, this night was no different. So we go, we enjoy the show, and it was an awesome show, just a couple really cool bands, hanging out, watching some music, and enjoying the evening with some lovely hosts into their little rock and roll world, right? Well, after the show, we all decide we're going to go on to Saigon Kick's bus. Now, Phil, the drummer, had already left after Saigon Kick played. They did a little meet and creep. He went out to the bus. Well, Extreme was just getting off stage. They were showering. They were going to go do their meet and creep. So we all decided that we were going to head on to the bus, where Phil already was. And the lead singer, Saigon Kick, can't remember his name. Don't really have to. Do I? No. Anyway, so the lead singer, Saigon Kick, and I were kind of hitting it off, enjoying each other's company. You know, I liked Nuno. He is beautiful. He is hot. But there was more of the brother and sister vibe going on between us. Like, he is a really funny guy. He's very mellow, very cool. And same with Gary. All the guys in Extreme were really cool guys. But for me, I was just getting more brother vibes, and the energy that I was feeling, the exciting, the erotic energy that I was feeling was from the lead singer, Saigon Kick. So we were all hitting it off and hanging out, and put my coat on for me. We all go out to the bus, take that long walk across the parking lot. It wasn't long, I'm kidding. Get on the bus, and I'm the first one on the bus because the lead singer, like a gentleman, opens the door for me. And I wish I wouldn't have been the first one on the bus. I wish I would not have. Because as I walk onto the bus, and I'm just sort of, going up the stairs, and anybody, if you've been on the tour bus, there's a set of stairs that goes up, you're facing the driver, and then another little 2 or 3 steps that goes up into the actual front lounge of the bus. So I go up, and I'm facing the driver, and I go to my left to go up the extra couple stairs, and I look, and there's Phil. With a little plastic appendage, suctioned to the wall, taking care of himself. My eyes did not need to see that. My eyes so did not need to see that. And I just sort of stopped dead in my tracks, so it was kind of a domino effect, and other people fell over me, like the lead singer, and then Kristen saw it. And Kristen, because she was hitting it off with Phil, she's like, oh, I'm taking this opportunity. His pants are down. I'm going for it. Because, we're man-eaters. Not because desperation or anything. Because she's a Scorpio. She's like me. She's like, oh, we want that. We're going for it. And they had already been hitting it off and flirting. And probably already made out a couple times. So it wasn't like she was just taking advantage of... Well, she kind of was taking advantage of the situation. We did that. We knew when the guys were vulnerable. And, well, your pants are down and your appendage is suctioned to the wall. You're pretty vulnerable. So Kristen crawled over us, got to him, grabbed him on the back lounge. He grabbed the thing off the wall, and they disappeared. So we decided, okay, we're just going to grab a few beers from here, get a little smoky, and then we're going to go meet Extreme on their bus, which is exactly what we did. So we go on to Extreme's bus. We go on the back lounge. As we do, we're all just hanging out. We're kind of moving from the back and forth. It's just like a little party at the bus house, right? So I'm sitting next to the lead singer. I just take my coat off. We're hanging out. We're getting flirty. He leans in to kind of nuzzle my neck. And like I said, I was on medication, fluconazole, which is a sulfa-based medication for a sinus infection. And I was like 5 days into this medication. Okay, and so the lead singer, Saigon Kick, looks down and goes to nuzzle my neck. And he's like, ooh, what's that? And points to my chest, kind of puts his finger on my chest, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I look down, and there's a rash, like all this red rash on my chest, and I'm like, oh my God, and I start kind of trying to brush it off. I'm like, what is that? What the, and he, I don't have to remember his name, because obviously after him seeing my rash, we didn't sleep together, and I look down, and it's like on the insides of my elbows, my arms, the folds of my elbows, and behind, and I just feel like a scratching, and it just all of a sudden, like, appeared. And the reason was because the next day I went to the doctor, and I have an allergy to sulfa-based medications, and this is how I found out. Getting a rash with the band. Yeah, that happened. So that was not my finest moment, and I was like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, I'm on medication for a sinus infection, and he was like, a sinus infection? I'm like, yeah, a sinus infection. I'm clean, girl. I keep clean. I do my docu visits every 6 months just to make sure, especially back then, because we were extra eating men. So yeah, that was not my finest moment. Turned off. It didn't bother the rest of the guys like Nuno and Gary. Then we all still hung out and talked and had drinks, and everybody went home. Some people more satisfied than others. So I was kind of, left hanging in the middle of some really great flirting and some really good, erotic energy happening. Because, I wouldn't have done me either. If I saw a rash on someone, I'd probably be, no. Uh-uh. So, yeah. But it was a lovely night, and they were lovely people, and I went home and, like I said, went to the doctor the next day, found out I was allergic to the medication, did the little scratch test and everything, got on some medication to counteract that, had to quit taking that medication. Yeah, and I was all betters. But yeah, and years later, I'm still friends on Facebook with the original guitar player from Saigon Kick. So I didn't leave that bad of an impression. But Phil, I don't know what him and Kristen did. To each their own. To each their own. And, I'm no vanilla girl between the sheets either. So I'm not judging anybody, because who wants to be vanilla? Not me. Not Kristen. And definitely not that drummer of Saigon Kick. But like I said, he wrote his own book about it, about his addictions and stuff, because, that was one of his addictions. So read that book. It's been a long time since it was out. But yeah, we witnessed that firsthand, and I got a rash. Yeah. So there you guys go. Hope you enjoyed my little nappy story. Now you know why the drink for the day. Sophia loves it, even though it's kind of making her itch right now. But anyway, thank you guys again for listening to my babble. I hope you enjoyed this silly little story. It's just one of those stupid little nights, something that did not make the book. Because like I say, my book is only half of the story. And that's just half of my story. That's not even like Danny's or Kristen's or Jennifer's or Daviny's or anybody else's that was in my crowd. I mean, we were a force to be reckoned with. And we'll talk about that one day. We'll talk about the Salt Lake City Welcoming Committee, because that was our nickname, among many others. Kristen and I were Captain Love and Lieutenant Lust when we were around Def Leppard. So, yeah. We'll talk about that one day, though. So, you guys who are not subscribed, subscribe to my channel, because I've got a lot of cool stuff coming up here for my members, for my Patreon members, for everybody here to say thank you for being such an awesome community and supporting me through this whole journey. I so appreciate you guys and love you so much. And so does Sophia. So everybody, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit my bells. And I'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.